Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour on ESPN is brought to you by Seagram's Coolers. This is where the fun starts. And by True Value Hardware. It's more than our name, it's our way of doing business. Last year, 27-year-old Carol Norman out of Ardmore, Oklahoma, needed this strike to clinch the most prestigious event in women's professional bowling history. The talented right-hander went on to defeat Cindy Coburn in the title match and collect $40,000 in first-place prize money. And now let's meet the finalists for today's championship round of the $200,000 Seagram's Coolers US Open. The LPBT's current player of the year, Betty Morris, starts in the number 5 position. And in that opening match, she will be bowling against amateur Susan Romero out of Fremont, California. The winner of that game will take on former US Open champion Lorrie Nichols, who captured this event as an amateur player. And, of course, in the number 2 position, it's strong Nikki Gianulias with 10 titles to her credit. And on top of the stack this week is Lisa Wagner out of Palmetto, Florida. And welcome to AMF Major League Lanes in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for the finals of the $200,000 Seagram's Coolers US Open, also co-sponsored by the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And working with me once again this afternoon, Lisa Wagner, who came within 2 strikes of bowling on the show today. Nice to give up a chance at $40,000 just to join us here today.
Well, Denny, you really know now what it means to me to be here with you.
Going to give up a chance to shoot for $40,000. Someone will win the big check this afternoon. An interesting telecast. We've got an amateur and then 4 very talented players who like to play the outside angle.
That's right, Denny. There are 4 players. They're multi-champions. This is their favorite condition all week. They've been playing an extreme outside line. I think we're going to see some great scores and some very dominating matches.
Well, we'll have to wait and see who collects the $40,000 first place prize. But before we get to that point, we have to come back for the opening match between Betty Morris and amateur Susan Romero.
Well, let me get this straight.
You get 3 wishes.
Okay. Put me on a tropical island. Nice. Now, how about a beautiful island woman?
Your 3rd wish?
You've done plenty, my man. Make yourself the best Seagram's cooler ever. I'm dreaming. Don't wake me.
New Seagram's Island Tropics.
In this game, it takes more control, more power, more precision, more curve. One ball has it all. One ball dominates winning on the Pro Tour. The Black U-Dot from Columbia 300. The Black U-Dot, the ball of champions. Columbia 300, sold only in lanes or pro shops.
What's the forecast for paint this season? Long-wearing and spectacular colors. That's True Test paint from True Value Hardware stores. Open a can of Weatherall acrylic house paint in rich flat, versatile satin, or lustrous gloss finish, and beautify your home with long-wearing protection. Weatherall, our best, has its advantages. Looking great. That's True Test paint from participating True Value Hardware stores.
Deck owners, want your deck to look like this again instead of this? Big job? No. This bright, natural look was restored with Woolman Deck Brightener. It's new. Just mix with a gallon of water. It's safe, fast, easy to use. From the Woolmanized, pressure-treated wood people. Restores an average deck in about an hour. Woolman Deck Brightener. Part of the Woolman family of deck stains, water repellents, and preservatives. Woolman. Products for decks that last.
And welcome back to the Tar Heel State. Betty Morris and Susan Romero in the opening match of the $200,000 Seagram's Coolers US Open. Denny Schreiner along with Lisa Wagner, and this should prove to be a very interesting championship round.
Oh, I'd say so, Denny. I think the case here is you've got Susan Romero finishing and qualifying in the 4th position. She's opted to let Betty start the match. Just those pressures on Betty in the end.
And Betty opens up with a 7-pin. For those of you who like to watch the outside angle, you're treated here this afternoon. All 5 players more than likely will play from the 5 board out to the channel.
That's right, Denny. Even 5 board, it was a little deep this week. You had to keep it way out there, just on the edge, and a couple balls ended up in the channel this week.
And that long straight shot, obviously not wanting any of those this afternoon, but as the pressure mounts, as we head to the title match, who knows? Betty Morris, just before we went on the air, was jumping up and down doing calisthenics, and I think she's pumped up and ready to go here this afternoon.
Denny, this is such a great tournament. I mean, there's so much money being played for out here that trying to keep yourself loose is going to be the key here, I think.
And your first good look at 25-year-old Susan Romero out of Fremont, California, representing the lead bowlers throughout the country. Her first ever appearance on national television, and I have a feeling that she'll breathe a sigh of relief if she spares here and just gets to the second frame.
Well, I was talking to Susan a little bit prior to the telecast, Danny, and she said if I could just get through the first couple frames, I think I'll start feeling a lot better.
Earlier today, Seagram's had a nice breakfast brunch combination for the top 5 participants, and Susan conferred the fact that she slept maybe an hour, maybe 2 last night at the most, because the nerves have been creating problems. But there you see, rather, she turns around, comes back, shows very little emotion, and did so all week long.
That's true, Denny, and however, she is a great player from California. She has a lot of titles out there in that her hometown area.
The interesting note is that she completed match play with the best record of the television finalists, and we're talking about some high-priced help when you get into the stepladder format here, 18-6. And as you mentioned to me before we went on the air today, she struck out several times on Friday to win key matches, so she's a pressure winner. Second shot, and the 10-pin stands. And were the corner pins a problem this week, Leila, because of the extreme outside angle?
They were in some cases, Denny, but actually I felt they went down really well. I had a good week, so they went down well for me. You may ask somebody down the line a little bit. I guess they didn't fall as well for them. A couple rounds towards the evening, I did have the problem. I feel the lane conditioner carried down, and I wasn't getting the right reaction in the back end.
For the most part, the majority of the top 24 finalists all played the outside angle from almost start to finish here, so that's been the place to be at AMF Major League Lanes in Winston-Salem. So a couple of spares to open up her first championship round appearance. Meanwhile, Betty Morris, who captured the US Open back in 1977 when the event was held in Milwaukee, is looking to climb the ladder here today and maybe win her second US Open championship.
Danny, I think we're going to see a lot of emotion from Betty today, too. She had such a great year last year, and the start of this year hasn't been so great for her, and this is a very important tournament.
Betty, of course, the current Seagram's Coolers BWAA Player of the Year and LPBT Player of the Year. 240 the average on the television pair. Let me toss a number out at you at this point. Of the 5 television finalists today, they averaged over 230 here on lanes 31 and 32 throughout the week, so we're liable to see that at X come up a few times today. Well, she leaves the bucket. Wanted the double badly to kind of jump out early in the match.
You know, Denny, I found lane 31 also for me during the week. I couldn't get the right finish on lane 31. I thought I threw a good shot. Betty looked like she thought she came out of that ball good, yet the ball just didn't make it up in the back end.
I think she's playing both lanes a little differently, too. She seems to be a little further in on 32, almost playing 5 or 6 board, and on the left-hand lane playing the extreme angle, and that may be the key today, whoever solves the puzzle on lane 31.
Well, that's what I found with this particular player. I bowled the position round, and I wasn't real excited about bowling the position round on lane 31 and 32 because 32 was hooking more than 31.
And I mentioned in the Open, Leila came within a couple of strikes. If she had struck in the 9th and 10th and the 11th, could have gone around Betty Morris last night to get to the championship round. But look at Betty. She started in 48th place And Susan Romero was as low as 59th after 2 rounds. So it just goes to show you, if you stick by your guns and your game plan, you can make it to the championship.
Well, it's such a long format, 56 games. Anything can happen. If you have a bad round, I was way down 37th place after the first round. And yet, you start getting more comfortable with the tournament. The condition really didn't change as much, but you start trying different balls and getting different reactions so that you can carry and score better.
So it's the bucket now on the right-hand lane for Susan Romero, who qualified out of Earl Anthony's Dublin Bowl in Dublin, California, to participate this week. She bowls most of the time, though, at Cloverleaf Lanes in Fremont, California. And the proprietor there, Mr. Don Hillman, and he will be the next president of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. So Don and the crew and everybody at Cloverleaf probably gathered around the television sets watching the local hero here this afternoon.
That's right. Susan said she called home and everybody's watching. She covers her left-handed spares from the left-hand side of the lane, which actually is a better angle, so she doesn't chop anything, but it almost hooked too early on her there.
Well, she was living and dying with the conversion of the bucket. Believe me, you don't want to shoot at the dinner bucket on national television if you can help it. Betty Morris leads by 5 pins, and we're in the opening match here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. A little better shot, a little tighter line, so you can see the players out there making the subtle adjustments to try and figure out how to strike on lanes 31 and 32.
I think Susan's getting a little bit more relaxed, too, Denny. That was a good shot. She said she just wanted to come out here and really just concentrate on her game, and that's what got her to the championship round in the first place.
Still to come in this one, Lorrie Nichols qualifying number 3rd, Nikki Gianulias number 2, and Lisa Wagner red hot in the top seed position. So the spare is up in the 4th frame. A very close match. Both players at this point just kind of feeling their way here on the championship pair, and we'll be back with more right after these messages.
Hi, Bob Bowers from Moyer's Bookmart, a Reading landmark at 6th and Court Street. We're the area's most complete stationery store, serving Reading and Berks for over 50 years. Our office products department offers an enormous selection of business supplies and furniture, whether it's a single desk, chair, or filing cabinet, or the complete furnishings for an entire building. No order is too large or too small. We mean business at Moyer's Bookmart, 6th and Court Street, Reading.
Berks Cable is working hard to provide you with quality, reliable service. However, the TV signal you watch is exposed to the harsh outdoors. And although Berks Cable uses the latest technology, sometimes the damage is just too great. For this, we have 24-hour on-call personnel to restore service. If you have a reception problem, call Berks Cable at 378-4646. Reliability, service, and customer satisfaction are our goals.
And the Berks Cable team is ready to serve you.
Back to live action, and in the 4th, a very solid strike for Betty Morrison threw a nice shot in the 5th on the left-hand lane, left the solid 10.
Great shot on lane 31, just rang the 10, and a good adjustment from the bucket that she left previously on that lane.
You know what I love about Betty Morris? So she's just so effervescent. She loves to bowl, and good or bad, I mean, you can always read her emotions, too. You know what Betty's doing. All you got to do is take a look at her face.
That's true, but I don't think she likes to bowl bad, and I've seen her not real happy, believe it or not.
I'm just covering up there for her. You know that. She doesn't bowl bad very often.
No, that's very true. Betty is a great player coming from the bottom on up. You never can count her out of it. Susan not getting the ball quite up to the head pin on lane 32, and that is the lane that is hooking more. You know, Dana, I'm not sure if she really got through that ball very well. It almost looked like she dropped it a little bit more. Her game is the fact that she does set it short. It gets into a roll early, but she still needs to lift through it.
248 on the right-hand lane. She trails by 9 pins. I think if there's one difference that you see graphically between Susan Romero's games and the other professional games that are on the championship round here, it's the fact that the ball does get into a roll much earlier than the professionals. It seems as if the pros project the ball, that skid, roll, hook type of a situation, whereas you mentioned she sets it short and gets it into a roll early, but that was the shot this week that was very effective.
And yes, it was. She may be playing on a lot of oil on her home conditions, and there's a difference. A lot of times on the women's tour, we get very dry conditions. If you set the ball early, you're in trouble.
Well, regardless of where she finishes today, it's much better than last year, her first U.S. Open, where she ended up 92nd. And she said she went home from Mentor, Ohio last year and determined that she was going to come back this year bigger and better. And I'd say she's done that as she strikes for the first time at the halfway point, frame number 6.
Here you'll get a good shot at Susan's game and how close she sets it to the foul line, just over the foul line. But she has good knee bend and a good arm swing.
Very deliberate player.
Three great shots in a row for Betty. Now, that solid 10 in the 5th could have given her a turkey and a great lead in this match.
Betty Morris with a career match play record on television of 19 wins and 10 losses. Highest game that she's ever bowled on national TV, 280, and that was to win the Lake Charles Classic last year.
Another good shot. And oh.
7-pin was down and came back.
It sure was. You know, this week I noticed also that the light hits like that didn't seem to carry as well. I don't know why. The 5 just blows right into the 7, as you can see. Here, it was down. It rolled 3 or 4 times and still stood up.
Boy, the old double team on the 7-pin, but it stands, and that would have been a key double for Betty Morris, who still leads by 9. Susan Romero will step up in the 7th with an opportunity to double and take the lead in this match. We'll have to wait a moment or so to find out what happens, though, as we'll take a break here in the opening game. And Betty Morris obviously looks concerned.
Nice shot, Jeannie.
Nice shot, Walter Ray.
Jeannie Maiden and Walter Ray Williams are proud to introduce the Ebonite Gyro 1 Blue-Gray and the Lady Ebonite, 100% urethane, priced much less than most urethane balls. High performance at a great value.
You can't buy a better ball at a better price. Right, Walter Ray?
Right, Jeannie.
The Gyro 1 Blue-Gray and the Lady Ebonite. Pure power, strike after strike after strike.
If you don't read the Wall Street Journal, you're saving a little time when you could be investing it.
Call 800-372-3000 for this great journal subscription offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
And with an opportunity to take the lead in this match for the very first time, Susan Romero up in the 7th frame.
Dane, this is where we're going to be able to see a shot at pressure on Susan right here. She knows she can take the lead if she gets this double. With a great shot, and she, too, leaves the 10-pin.
6-pin right around the 10.
Here you can see another look at it. The 6 is just going to blow right around the 10, almost touching it. It hit in front of it and hit in back of it.
Well, if it could ever solve that puzzle, bottle it and sell it, every bowler in the United States, I think, would buy.
Take that 10-pin out of the rack.
The field this week to start, 239 players, and there were 96 amateur or league bowlers involved in the U.S. Open this year. A little tentative, but the 10 left nevertheless.
Susan was able to get the week off on vacation time from her job. She's a traffic coordinator at Ulysses.
I don't know if this is a vacation or not when you get to the championship round. It's tougher than a week's work, wouldn't you think?
All week is tough. Not just the position round, but it's been a very tough week for all of us.
But the payoff is nice.
Yes, it was. It was very nice.
Well, the 2-8 remains, and all week long, Leila, was the speed of the shot a particular specific idea for you guys to try and work with the speeds, or was that not it this week?
I think it was very crucial this week. Actually, I wasn't throwing the ball as hard as I have been in the past. I found that a slower speed, actually, the ball got into a roll a little bit better, and I was able to carry better. Towards the end of the tournament match play, I did have to pick up my speed. Last night, I had to pick up the speed. I think it was a big key, and that was a crucial mistake by Susan.
Well, no question about that. You don't give Betty Morris an opportunity like that one, but the 2-8, a problem for Susan Romero, who now has 137 through 8 frames. The best she could shoot would be 197 if she would strike out. And there's nothing better than sitting on the bench and having your opponent open up.
Good shot by Betty, and that's just the break she needed. For Susan to miss a spare like that would give Betty all the confidence and have her relax that much more.
Perfect shot here by Betty Morris on the right-hand lane. She has struck every time on the right-hand lane. The left-hand lane, lane 31, has been the problem thus far. Betty's left a couple of 10 pins the last 2 shots. Let's see if she can make those little minor adjustments that you have to make to carry the 10.
Well, she left the 7 in the frame before on 31, so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
but they were 2 good shots.
Yep.
She's got the line on 31. She just needs to carry, and she got it that time.
Well, it never ceases to amaze me at this level. When a bowler is given the opportunity, they normally step right through the door, and this just is an excellent shot here.
And there's no better player at doing it than Betty Morris.
Last night she defeated Karen Ellingsworth in the position round game to qualify for today's championship round.
And a good shot by Susan, just coming in a little bit high, not being able to trip out that 4-pin.
It's amazing, too, and you obviously can relate to this, Leila, how fast that match goes by the first time you bowl on national television. It's like you look up and you're in the 10th frame, and you just hope you're ahead.
It's not even the first time you bowl on national television. If I recall, it was last week that match went by very quickly when Jeannie Maiden threw 7 strikes at me.
Well, that's usually what happens when people strike, though, see? That's the old buzzsaw treatment, right?
That's right. Well, Susan is definitely going to be happy with a check for $6,000.
And there you see her proud parents, Mom Betty and Dad John. And it was funny last night when I was talking to Susan. I said, "Are you nervous?" And she said, "Yeah, but I know my mom is going to be a worse wreck than I'm going to be."
She did have a little look on her face that was kind of hoping her daughter would have done a little bit better, I'm sure.
A little chagrined at this point, but hey, just to qualify.
That's right.
And what's great about this event, sponsored by the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, is the fact that league players and amateur players can come out and compete with the professionals and maybe get a chance to bowl for $40,000 first place.
Well, and the checks all the way down the line, Denny, to 60th place were wonderful. So the players that did make a check got their expenses and a bit more.
So 187, the best possible game that Susan could shoot here in the opening game. Betty Morris now leads by 33, and it's going to get interesting from here on out. Lorrie Nichols is next in line. Will you imagine Betty Morris and Lorrie Nichols going at each other? Ooh.
I think the rest of the day is going to be interesting, to tell you the truth. You've got those 4 multi-titleists now going for all that money.
It gets easier when the match is over, though. Look at these shots now. They just rolled off your fingers to make big shots. We might mention, too, we've talked about the league players and the amateur bowlers that qualified this week, and Linda Kelly, who is currently on the Team USA team that hopefully will be headed to Seoul, South Korea to bowl in the Olympics on September 18th. Linda just missed, and she finished 6th. And, of course, you had to bowl her last night in the position round game.
That's right. Linda is a great player. She struck out to beat me, to keep me from being 6th. So, right. But it was under pressure, and I think she was a great representative for the USA in the Olympics. I hope if she does so, she'll do really well, I'm sure.
And there's the handshake, 182 for Susan Romero, and Betty Morris maybe now uses this 10th frame to fine-tune her game on the championship pair.
Actually, Denny, lane 32, she hasn't missed yet, and she is going to finish up on that lane, so I don't think she'll have to do anything different.
Just keep striking, right?
That's right.
Whoops.
It's really not, it's not hurting her at this point, however, for her mental game coming into the next round. Just throwing a shot like that, she'll have to overcome that.
Interesting thing, she needed 6 pins to win the match outright, and she only got 5 on the first shot.
I don't think we calculated all that prior to that shot, did we?
But after 4 straight strikes on that lane, I think we figured it was pretty much locked up. Betty now kind of turns around and claps to herself. Well, I didn't exactly blow her away, but she ends up winning the opening match and will advance into game number 2. And coming up in game number 2, Betty Morris will be tested because Lorrie Nichols is next in line, so stay tuned.
Let me get this straight.
You get 3 wishes.
Okay. Put me on a tropical island. Nice. Now, how about a beautiful island woman?
Your 3rd wish?
You've done plenty, my man. Make yourself the best Seagram schooler ever. I'm dreaming. Don't wake me.
New Seagram's Island Tropics.
True Value Hardware, it's more than a name.
It really is more than a name. It's Paul recommending the best tools for the job, and Chester finding the perfect shade of blue. It's Gene helping with a heavy load, and Mary Ann knowing the right answers for a do-it-yourselfer. In fact, it's more than 6,000 independent stores nationwide who know that delivering personal service is our way of doing business.
True Value.
1, 2,
3,
4.
Health and fitness is that easy with ESPN's midday workout. 1. Denise Austin starts with workout and health tips. 2. Ada's basic exercises increase muscle strength and flexibility. 3. Jalad's aerobics are designed for cardiovascular fitness. 4. Corey Everson helps change and improve the shape of your body. Start your midday workout weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. It's that easy.
Well, it was a big week here at Major League Lanes in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and it was a big week for Terry Evans, who captured the Pro-Am event here, and it was worth $2,500. If that wasn't enough, Terry's wife last night gave birth to twins, Lisa Wagner.
Well, I guess they will need that $2,500 to pay for some of those expenses. Well, that's wonderful.
And there you see from the cockpit here, a look at Lorrie Nichols, and Lorrie's still practicing here to get set for game number 2.
We've just had great crowds all week, Denny.
Yep.
What a successful tournament here.
Bulging at the seams this week.
They were here about 2.5 hours early this morning, too. I walked in, I couldn't believe so many people were in the building so soon.
Let's take a look now at what's on top, and boy, is it top heavy. $40,000. Second place, not bad, $20,000. So that title game, keep in mind, will be worth $20,000 extra. So Susan Romero has already taken the check for $6,000, and now it'll be Betty Morris and Lorrie Nichols here in game number 2. There we go. These two have faced each other a number of times, but on national television, they have bowled each other in the past 2 times for the title. And what's happened, Lisa Wagner?
Well, Lorrie has won both times, so I don't know if this is going through Betty's head or not. However, I really don't think so. It's too far back, and this is a new day.
Ooh, after the practice, and that's not how you want to open things up with a 3-9-10.
This is a very difficult spare, Denny. The sleeper pin, as we say, the 9-pin behind the 3-pin is tough to get. You want to put the ball between the 3 and the 10, but you just need it to hook enough to get the 9. Oh, good effort, however, not enough. There's quite a bit of lane conditioner in the middle of the lane. The ball has a tendency to slide more, shooting across alley to your spares.
Well, without even moving, Lorrie Nichols take as many as a 12-pin lead if she gets started here with an X. Ooh, the 5-pin nearly created a few problems. Look at Lorrie chuckling as she comes back.
Yeah, I think Lorrie really thought she threw that shot pretty good. She came out of it real strong, and the ball just didn't finish very hard on that lane.
What a remarkable career already for Lorrie Nichols, who captured this tournament back in 1970. Held the tournament in Denver, Colorado. And at that point in time, she'd already captured an FIQ gold medal.
That's right.
And so she got started at a very early age at the top level and has been a tremendous player through the years.
Well, I think Linda Kelly is looking for the success that Lorrie Nichols had as an amateur player.
High has finished this winter third in Atlanta last week, 16-8 in the match play department. And on the championship here, averaged 217.5 this week.
Lorrie having a very slow start this winter with missing the finals. The first 2 tournaments, but can you believe that break she got?
Well, she's already gotten a couple. The 5-pin toppled, and then this time the 6-pin takes a roll.
The ball was definitely hooking high, Denny, and she got a great break. I thought she was going to leave a 4-6 here. However, some pin tripped the 4-7, which came over and tripped the 6.
4-pin did her the favor, and she was thankful. Back to live action now.
Oh.
I think Betty senses quickly, too, that you don't let Lorrie Nichols get off to a quick start, because if you do, you're going to be looking at 4th place.
That's right. You're going to see the 6-pin right here just wrap around that 10-pin. It was an excellent shot, and Betty was running it out. She had to come back from lane 31.
Betty Morris opening up with a 191-182 victory over Susan Romero. And we're in match number 2 of the $200,000 Seagram's Coolers US Open, co-sponsored by the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. Well, she's had an illustrious career. Amazing. Came back the following year and finished second in the US Open. She's finished second twice and also won it, as you've seen right there, one time.
Well, she was Bowler of the Decade in the 1970s, Denny. So I think the 1970s, Betty did a lot of amazing things.
And I think a great tribute to her game is the way she has now bounced back the last couple of seasons. And it's just bowled brilliantly. 2-4-5 on the left-hand lane. And for Betty Morris, the story this afternoon has been, how do I strike on lane 31?
Well, that's exactly right. Her last game could have been a lot higher if she would have had any carry power on lane 31. However, she now leaves the bucket, and it's not an easy spare.
Well, you watch her out there, and she appears to be struggling. She averaged 240 on this pair during the week, and but it just goes to show you what a difference a day makes.
That's right. You know, Jenny, Betty, chopped that right off. As I said, it was a difficult spare this week. We saw Susan Romero miss the 2-8 to the left, so lane's hooking a little bit in the center.
Lorrie Nichols could take a commanding lead if she doubles here in the 3rd.
Looking for the break on the swisher, but didn't quite get it. Not quite getting the reaction in the back end that I think they were getting last night.
Of the 5 players in the championship round today, Lorrie Nichols probably goes straighter than the other 4. Would you think?
Well, I think so. I think some of the other, the other 3 players actually hit the ball a little bit more than Lorrie does. Lorrie's very strong and does go straighter. However, Lisa Wagner and Nikki and Betty as well, they actually hit the ball more. Seems they're going to get more rotation.
Coming up in the semifinal game, Nikki Gianulias poised and ready to bowl out of the number 2 position, and of course on top of the leaderboard this week, Lisa Wagner trying to win her 2nd tournament in the past month.
Once again, lane 31, not quite finishing. And a difficult spare for Lorrie. However, without the 5-pin, she doesn't have to worry about chopping it.
You know, it was amazing during the practice round, the half-hour practice session before we went on the air. Normally, there are some players that joke around and have a little fun and kind of giggle a little bit. It was all business in practice today.
It's a lot at stake today.
Big shot, nice spare conversion of the 2-4-8 for Lorrie Nichols, who leads by 23. We'll be back right after this.
There's a level of performance that separates the good from the great. That's why Carmen Salvino designed the Ebonite Thunderbolt. The exclusive power core increases gyroscopic action for a sharper hook on heavy oil. And the Thunderbolt rolls farther before hooking, so it hits harder for less deflection and more striking power. The difference between good and great is the power of the Thunderbolt.
What kinds of investments can you make at Schwab? Ask a Schwab customer.
I advise my clients to keep a diversified portfolio. At Schwab, you can invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, even CDs. And you can move between Schwab investments with one phone call. My advice? Diversify the easy way at Schwab.
For a free booklet, call 800-228-2323. That's 800-228-2323.
We're back live. Oh, can she scoot it over? Look at that. The 3-pin wrapping right around the 7, but it's the third open in 4 frames for Betty Morris, and disaster right now is striking.
Just a great attempt, that 3-pin, almost getting that 7-pin. You know, Betty's having trouble now out here, and I'm not really sure if it's the pressure or the lanes. The lanes could be changing a little bit by the amount of bowling on them. However, I think the pressure, too, between the players, because they're opening the door, should be relaxing them, but it's not.
Well, Betty, I think after that time to go a little further out on the left-hand lane, and she throws the strike.
Yes, she did. There you can see a great shot of how far out her ball really did go, and it just ripped the rack.
Boy, she realized, hey, there's no time like the present to get started here. She trails by 34 to this lady, Lorrie Nichols, and this is an excellent shot. She gets the 5 to dance, and finally that 7-pin disappears.
Well, Lorrie was hitting a little bit light on lane 32 the last 2 attempts, and she made the adjustment. It's hard when you come out early and practice for that 30 minutes prior to the telecast, Danny. You go away, you come back, and the lanes do change a bit. Like I said before, the conditioner has a tendency to carry down, and the lanes tighten up. You tighten up. It's a combination of both things. Once again, lane 31, giving her the trouble.
To maybe give the viewers a little better perspective as that lane conditioner moves further and further down the lane, the ball hooks less in the last 10 to 15 feet, and that's obviously where you get a lot of your carry and a lot of your roll. And so instead of having maybe 3 or 4 boards to hit where you can strike, now all of a sudden it's maybe 1 board, and if you don't make a very good shot with good speed control, you'll leave the bucket like Lorrie did on the left-hand lane.
That's right. You just don't get the finish very right before the pins. Ball deflecting. Once again, the bucket giving the players a problem.
There's Lorrie's husband lamenting that last shot. Excellent bowler in his own right. It's, I think, sometimes tougher on the relatives than it is on the players.
I've always been told it's harder to sit back and watch than it is to bowl.
Well, Betty could cut the lead in half here. If she strikes on this shot, she needs a little help, and there it is. And she dances on the approach. And Betty Morris kind of carves out a double in the 5th and the 6th.
Once again, she got the ball very far out on the lane, and the ball just ripping back, and the pin's dancing, like you said, and Betty dancing, too.
I don't know how many calories she burns during a national telecast, but I'm sure it's a few. No, there's not an earthquake here in Winston-Salem. That's just Betty bouncing up and down. That's the way that she gets started in her game. She starts bobbing up and down. Strikes start to happen. Good shot there, and the solid 4 stands.
Betty actually started to bounce a little early because you saw the ball going perfect, and then the ball just took a left turn and dove for that head pin.
13-pin differential now between Lorrie Nichols and Betty Morris, and Betty on the short side of the scoreboard right now, but I have a feeling she'll make a run at this one before it's all over.
Betty told me she did an exhibition with Mark Roth, and Mark Roth started to bounce, started striking.
So she picked up where he left off, and right now she trails by 13, but things have tightened up considerably. Don't go away.
Performance Motors, scene one, take one, action.
For the greatest cars, trucks, and service, and for the greatest supply of parts, come to Performance Motors now!
Cut. That's not right. At Performance Motors, we're not hard sell and high pressure. We take time with our customers, and we're concerned with what they want in a car. We offer the highest quality cars to buy or lease. We have a first-rate service department and body shop. From sales to service, we are the performers.
At Performance Motors, we are the performers.
We all know heat rises, but in your home, that means wasted heat and high fuel bills. At A to Z, they'll show you how to bring that heat down from the ceiling to where it really counts and save on the fuel bills at the same time with a 3-speed reversible ceiling fan. See the leaders of the industry at A to Z. Casablanca, Panasonic, Kenroy, and Ritz.
A to Z vacuum and ceiling fan outlet. A to Z keeping.
And to update you on what happened for Lorrie Nichols in the 7th and the 8th, 2 clutch strikes. And there you see, she's back on top by 23.
Well, Betty definitely needing the strike here, Denny, to get back into this match at all. And almost getting away with that light hit, but not quite enough to get the 8-pin out.
Many times, these two fine professional players have stood on a championship round pair and battled it out between the two of them. Oh, my. Lorrie Nichols with 13 titles and Betty Morris with 18.
The Davenport family is sitting at home, Denny, just watching Betty. She is a newlywed. She got married the 31st of December to David Davenport. She's not going to change her name, however. She does want you to know that she is now a member of the Davenport family.
Okay. Betty Morris Davenport?
Betty Morris Davenport.
I don't know.
David, I'm sure, would have liked to have been here to give his support. He is working out in California. They just bought a new house, so...
He's probably out cutting the lawn.
Betty's looking for that big check here. She needs a strike to stay in the match.
Oh, a bit of an unlucky break, too, because there was a pin that was spinning around near the 7 and could have taken it out easily to give her an opportunity.
She got the ball out to where she wanted it. It did finish, and the 5 went out. However, not hard enough. The 4, look at that 2
Yeah, look at the head pin.
Is that the head pin?
Sure, the
oh,
head
the
pin.
2 pin.
The 4 pin got in its way, and that was really an unlucky break because
yes,
she had that head pin helicoptering around the 7. But as it stands right now, the best Betty could shoot would be 180. And that's if she strikes out in the 10th. As she takes a good look at the scoreboard, Lorrie Nichols right now in the driver's seat with a 25-pin lead. If she strikes here, it's pretty much adios.
That's right. Lorrie actually has to stay clean the next 2 frames. If she strikes here, the match would be over. Looking for this one. A good shot.
There's a smile from Terry, sitting next to John Falzone, the president of the Lady Pro Bowlers Tour.
Actually, Lorrie would just need some count here, a good count. She knows anything can happen, so she isn't exactly celebrating yet.
She is a fairly serious player. I don't think she celebrates until the check has been signed, sealed, and delivered.
That's true. Yes, I know for a fact she does celebrate, too. With Seagram's coolers, probably this week. What do you think, Denny?
I would think that the ladies have probably tried a few of those. I was told earlier this week that Seagram's coolers, they sold 18 million cases of Seagram's coolers last year.
They have moved into the number1 spot
right.
and are very proud of it.
That's quite a few coolers, I can tell you.
Yes, it is.
I put the pencil to that, and it's nearly 500 million coolers a year. And there's some pretty cool customers, don't you think? Big game for Lorrie Nichols, who has notched a victory over Betty Morris, and with a strike here would shoot 225. And so Lorrie Nichols is going to move on to the semifinal game.
Lorrie finding lane 31. Oh, super shot there.
A no-nonsense player with a six-bagger to finish things, so Betty Morris bows out and collects $7,500, but for Lorrie Nichols, she's still looking at maybe $40,000. How would you like 7 of bowling's greatest pros to show you how to improve your average? Now available, How to Bowl Your Best Game, produced in association with the American Bowling Congress, featuring world-class instruction from 7 of the greatest bowlers ever assembled, featuring ABC Hall of Famer Earl Anthony as the host, along with Mike Albee, Jeannie Maiden, Virginia Norton, George Pappas, Lisa Wagner, and the great one, Dick Weber. You'll get instruction in all phases of bowling, including equipment, grip, stance, step patterns, delivery, targeting and strikes and spares, adjustments, and also the mental game. Plus, you'll also get the special bonus section featuring Pro Talk with candid conversations by the pros and legends with rare footage from the Bowling Hall of Fame. Order now this important video and let the pros improve your average. Call 1-800-333-3000.
The upset of the week is brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need. Long Beach, California, number 2 ranked Iowa goes up against Long Beach State to determine the West representative in the women's Final Four. The 7th ranked 49ers out-rebound their opponents 51-37. Tracy Waite scores 21 points, and Penny Toller pours in 27, garnering MVP honors as Long Beach State wins big 98-78. The Pepto-Bismol upset of the week.
I'm home.
Hi, Mom. Is your brother home yet?
He's upstairs. He says he feels yucky.
Bobby?
He ate a bunch of junk after school. The kid eats like a maniac. Oh, I feel yucky.
I've got just what you need.
Here it comes. The soothing relief of Pepto-Bismol. The one that coats is the only one you need.
Feeling better? What time is dinner? Maniac.
The sports stars of tomorrow are doing their best today in the nation's high schools. Every Wednesday, ESPN Scholastic Sports America looks at the record setter, the scholar athlete, the standout teams, players, and coaches. It's the only weekly program that scouts the nation and the world to find America's outstanding young athletes. Join Chris Fowler every Wednesday for Scholastic Sports America on ESPN.
And, of course, those who didn't quite get to the television show this week, Linda Kelly out of Union, Ohio, with a nice $5,000 check, and my partner in crime, Lisa Wagner, with an 8th place finish. Robin Romeo and Shirley Hitch rounding out the top 11.
Our very familiar Cindy Coburn and our defending champion, Carol Norman, finishing up respectively in 13th. Donna Adamek we saw last week, and Jeannie Maiden finishing 2nd last week.
There are 3 different AMs that qualified for the finals. Tish Johnson, who won last week, ended up 20th this week, and Cheryl Kessler, 23rd. Judy Sutar, obviously, in the top 24 as well. And we're getting down now to the nitty-gritty, as they say. But coming up next, what a big weekend in the Winston-Salem, Greensboro, North Carolina area for ESPN. Live third-round coverage of the Kmart Greater Greensboro Open. Jimmy Kelly, Jim Colbert, and Terry Deal will be standing by at a Forest Oaks Country Club to bring you live coverage of the GGO at 1:30 this afternoon. So, my goodness, the Tar Heel State and ESPN are becoming good friends here at the beginning of the month of April.
Great for the area.
Oh, tremendous. And there's a look at Nikki Gianulias.
Nikki's really had a rough start this year, Denny. She didn't make the finals the first tournament. Second tournament, she finished at 21st. Last week, she had to withdraw from hand problems, and here she is, finishing so great this week.
And she had an outside shot at leading this tournament heading into the final couple of rounds. She was first after a while. There you see, moving on to the semifinal game after defeating Betty Morris. This time she starts on the left-hand lane and gets a break as she breaks up the possible split.
Well, when Morris made a mistake on the left-hand lane, it has been light, so she did overcompensate a little bit and assured herself she was going to get it up to the head pin, and she did that.
Well, so many times the viewers at home, because of their vantage point, it's tough to really get a close-up picture of how quickly the lanes change and how much the players move. Sometimes it looks like they're in the same spot all day long, but they're not. They're making adjustments to speed and hand position and where they might stand on the approach.
That's right. It's amazing, too, what a two-board adjustment on the approach would do for the final reaction on the ball.
Nikki Gianulias, 28 years of age, 10 career titles.
That's one for every year she's been on tour.
Mm-hmm. Very strong physical player. She's the type of player that can dominate a lane condition.
She can in this particular type of condition. She loves. Oh, what a super shot by Nikki on lane 32. A solid 9-pin.
You can almost read the expression on her face. Now, wait a minute. I threw that one so well. How could the 9 stand?
Well, the ball's driving so hard in the back end, Denny, that it just rips through and doesn't take out the 9.
That'll bring you back to earth in a hurry, won't it? Throw a shot like that.
Nikki is one of the few players, or the only player, I believe, on the telecast today that is using a different ball for her spare conversions. She likes to go to a very harder, straighter line to pick up her spares.
Been an interesting career for her. Average on the television pair, actually the lowest of the 5 finalists, 212.5.
In lane 31, the lane that was giving everybody a problem, Nikki just walks up and just punches it. Here you can see the ball not driving quite as hard into the pocket. A little bit lighter, the 6-pin, just giving that 10-pin that love tap, and just a perfect shot there.
That could have been a double very quickly.
Yes, it could have. Good shot on lane 32 by Lorrie.
Well, I think from here on out, Lisa Wagner, we're going to see some high-tech bowling performances because these ladies certainly not afraid of pressure, and they're not afraid to bowl for titles.
No, and their games are so similar, Denny. They are all going down the boards. Lorrie a little bit more, projecting the ball a little bit more from right to left. However, they're all power players. They hit the ball well, and they all love this outside line.
Well, needed a little help from the 6 and didn't get it.
Not quite enough lift there for Lorrie on lane 31.
I had a chance to chat with Terry Nichols, Lorrie's husband, earlier this week, and we were talking about the U.S. Open and the fact that Lorrie may have suffered her worst defeat, most damaging defeat in this tournament back in 1984 when she led the tournament by over 400 pins and then was defeated by Karen Ellingsworth in the championship. And she had actually beaten Karen by over 800 pins throughout the week, and Karen obviously bowled great on the show and beat her. But she said, you know, Terry told me, so that was a staggering loss for her. It took her a long time to get over it.
It was. I've been Lorrie's roommate for a number of years, and I don't think I've ever seen her as upset as I did at that particular tournament. It was an awful loss for her.
Maybe she figures they owe her one this year.
There's more money involved this year, too, with our wonderful Seagram's Coolers sponsor. Nikki adjusting for that high hit on lane 32, sending the ball a little bit farther to the right, and it not making it back.
278 presenting itself on the right-hand lane. You saw it's the 33rd appearance in the championship round for Nikki Gianulias. She is 21-26 overall in match play, and Nikki from time to time has had problems winning on television.
Yes, she has. In the fall of '86, Danny, she had 4 second-place finishes that fall.
That'll wear on you a little bit.
Yes,
gives this one
will.
some room. Here it comes. Oh, my. That could be a key shot here in the semifinal game because she stays even-steven in the match with Lorrie Nichols.
That was a great conversion here. She hits it on the outside of the 2-8. And here you can see the 8-pin hitting the 7. Oops, 2-pin hitting the 7.
All you need is one.
That's right.
A couple of times finishing up second, and she'd like to change that tune this year.
Yes, she would. not getting the trip on the 4-pin.
You know, in watching Nikki play this week, as well as a lot of the other players, she has the kind of strength and ball speed that when she throws a strike, you can hear it. You know, there's a different crackling of the pins, and same with Lisa Wagner.
That's right. Well, they're very strong players. They get a lot of velocity on the ball, and they're great competitors. When it comes down to that, they can get the speed. A lot of that, I think, has to do also with their height.
Well, Nikki gazes over at the scoreboard, doesn't exactly like what she sees, but she can do something about that. We'll be back to find out what.
Decisions, decisions. A painting project is full of them. Formulas, finishes. This time make just one decision. To trust True Value hardware stores and their spatter-resistant True Test Easy Care paint. Flat enamel is scrubbable, yet leaves a rich, flat finish. Kitchens and bathrooms need scrubbable semi-gloss. Or choose flat finish for velvety walls. And one special ingredient sets Easy Care paint apart. The unique personal service you'll find only at True Value hardware stores.
You'll be dancing in the streets of Paris if you win ESPN's World Tour sweepstakes to the French Open. An unforgettable city, a fabulous event, an all-expense-paid trip for two. Watch this tennis event. Write the names of our two announcers on a card with your name and address and mail to ESPN World Tour, Box 905, Ridgely, Maryland. That postcard could be your ticket to the French Open. ESPN's World Tour 88. Just watch. You might win.
This is what happened in the fourth to Lorrie Nichols, and this is almost a carbon copy of what happened to Nikki Gianulias in the very first frame on that lane. Take a look. The 9-pin's still standing.
Lorrie can't believe that she left it. It was a great shot. She thought she had it. If I were these players, I would start watching that rack a little bit more closely. The two players to leave it almost back-to-back on the same lane.
The one thing I've noticed, the biggest difference between perhaps the men's tour and the women's tour, the ladies don't re-rack nearly as often.
No, that's true.
They pretty much get up and bowl. They're all business. It's amazing how the bowlers can see those 10 pins in the racks before they even throw the shot, right?
Well, the men, too, are used to bowling for quite a bit more money than the women, and there's a lot more at stake. I think that has a little bit to do with it. You start learning what makes the difference between $100, and that is the third 9-pin we have seen left on lane 32. Now, I found during the week lane 32 was finishing quite a bit. However, I don't know if it was finishing quite a bit that amount to leave 3 solid 9.
Well, the toughest thing in the world is to have to make an adjustment. Well, you can't make an adjustment to leaving a solid 9-pin.
No.
I mean, it's impossible. You're throwing an excellent shot, a high percentage strike shot, and the 9-pin stands. Of course, I don't know. I think between the urethane finishes and the urethane bowling balls, pins the way they're made today. It used to be in the old days when you threw it flush, you were afraid maybe of the solid 8. Those days are over because the balls just take out everything, but they go flying by the 9.
That's right. Oh,
they drive so hard at the end, the last 5-6 feet, that the 9-pin's the tough pin now. She trails by 1, and really, Nikki could have struck 4 out of the 5 shots that she's thrown.
Nikki has bowled a super game.
Great tribute to her, though, to keep throwing the ball in the pocket rather than get flustered. I mean, there's not much you can do about it.
That's right. That's the key. You don't want to make those adjustments, and in your mind, sometimes you have a tendency to do that and get yourself into trouble. And another great shot by Nikki. She's got to just be thinking, okay, so what do I have to do to strike?
She hitches up the skirt a little bit that time and says, well, what kind of a day are we having here today? Meanwhile, Lorrie's going, stand up, please. I'm only kidding.
Well, no, you're not, because that's exactly what Lorrie is probably sitting there thinking, if she's even thinking anything about her partner.
Well, the difference being that
opponent.
Whoever wins this match goes on to bowl for $40,000, and at worst, you make 20. So third place is worth 10. So this is a $10,000 game.
$10,000 match.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big difference.
Buy a lot of furniture.
Yes, you could.
Of course, for Lorrie Nichols, who now is a proprietor, he owns Lorrie Nichols Algonquin Lanes in Algonquin, Illinois, and I'm sure that she could find a place somewhere in that bowling center to make a few new renovations.
Now leaving the 4-pin.
Well, we were thinking that perhaps we'd see some 240s or 250s. Both players have thrown the ball well enough to put those kind of numbers on the board here in the semifinal game, but it hasn't come true.
That's right, Denny. I really thought the scores would be a bit higher. However, you know, that pressure, that tension can cause you to squeeze the ball just a little bit. And it always seems like when you want it the most, the pins don't fall. And both of these women out here want it.
Terry Nichols looking on. Terry getting a little time off this week. He is an aircraft dispatcher for United. Flying out right after this one's over. And Lorrie, I guess, is going to drive the motorhome back.
That's right. Lorrie is a new owner of a motorhome she brought out for these 4 tournaments. And she's really enjoying it. Says it really helps her to relax. She needs this money to help pay for it, too.
Those home-cooked meals are obviously better than eating out all the time. Once again, on the left-hand lane, the 10-pin stands. And we're at a stalemate right now. It's a 1-pin match.
Well, Danny, both of these players have hit the pocket every time but once. And they have only got 3 strikes between them.
Nice acceleration through the shot on the cross-alley spare, and so she leads by 1, but it's not nearly enough. We'll be right back after this.
Let me get this straight.
You get 3 wishes.
Okay. Put me on a tropical island. Nice. Now, how about a beautiful island woman?
Your 3rd wish?
You've done plenty, my man. Make yourself the best Seagram schooler ever. I'm dreaming. Don't wake me.
New Seagram's Island Tropics.
Geese! Geese! I said send me the lease! Police!
End these mistakes in communication. From now on, don't just say it. Put your request on paper and send it on a Pitney Bowes facsimile machine. Your message is there, and the answer is back in seconds. We're Pitney Bowes. Think of us first in fax.
For details, call 1-800-421-7800.
And what a marvelous job this man has done over the past 4 years as president of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America. Sonny will be stepping down in June at the end of the BPAA convention. And as I mentioned a little earlier, Mr. Don Hillman will take over the reins for the next year for the Bowling Proprietors Association of America.
Nikki getting a little bit too much ball speed on lane 32 has left herself with a very difficult bucket.
We've seen that a few times.
Yes, we have.
So it's now a 5-pin lead for Lorrie Nichols. We're in the semifinal game. Keep in mind the next game, $40,000 on top. Lisa Wagner, not even practicing at this point, just kind of waiting in the wings.
She needs to stay clean here, Denny, and it doesn't look like she did it. Nope, she chopped it right off that 5-pin.
Well, there are 2 schools of thought. You can either circle the ball like you normally do on your strike for your spares, or you can maybe go a little straighter at it like Mark Roth does. And that time, it didn't pay off as she covered quite a few boards trying to pick up the bucket.
I think she thought with the amount of conditioner in the center of the lane, however, the ball wouldn't quite make it there, yet it did in the back end, just when she didn't want it to.
A 16-pin lead now for Lorrie Nichols, and Nikki G needs to stand up and throw a strike here on the left-hand lane.
She has really thrown a great game so far, Denny, and she finally got a break on the strike. I don't know if it was really a break. It was a good shot. She trips the 4-pin.
Well, if Nikki Gianulias strikes out from the 9th all the way through the 10th, she could still shoot 212. She may need all of it. Back to work goes Lorrie Nichols in the 8th.
Lorrie's last attempt on 32 was a 4-pin, and she also got a break. Looked like she stuck at the line. She said, well, ball, are you going to come off my hand? And she ended up carrying. It looked like she tripped over herself or something at the end. Whoa. Okay. However, she went flush.
Well, she should stick more often.
That's how you get the 9 out.
Hey, anything to strike, right?
At this point in the match, you bet.
You professionals will do anything to get a strike. This could be a big double. Oh, my, right past it one more time. And the minute you get a little speed going, you sail right by the head pin.
That's the problem. You get a little bit loose on lane 32. You get the break on the shot. You get up on 31. You feel good. You feel like you come through it, but a little bit too fast. And the ball doesn't quite make it out.
Well, so many times people who watch the championship round say, boy, you know, I can't believe that they're shooting 190s and 180s and 2-0s. And, boy, I could go out and beat those people. It's amazing how difficult sometimes the championship round pair can be under these kind of circumstances. I'm a proponent of good close matches. I don't care if they're shooting 260 or 190 as long as it comes down to the 10th frame where you have to make the key shots to win the games.
That's right, and this is a key shot for Nikki right here. She gets this strike in the 9th. She could actually close Lorrie Nichols out.
Well, to be honest with you, lane 32 owes her.
It does. A shot under pressure. Here it is, and it looks good on a 10-pin. You know, I think she flattened out the last two shots on lane 32. When she left the bucket, she got her speed up. That was a good shot. Just not getting the 10. What a strong game here. Great knee bend, good arm swing. The ball just ripping in there, throwing the 5 against 7, and a 6 lays in the channel.
Kind of a half hit. That's the trouble, though, with the wide angle shot when you're coming from the outside. Sometimes you have a tendency to enter almost behind the head pin, and when you do that, it's pretty tough for the 6-pin to get actively involved. Well, to set the stage for you, if she strikes out, it would be 192 for Nikki Gianulias. And right now, Lorrie Nichols operating in a 198 clip. So pretty much the cards are on the table. Nikki has to double to put any pressure whatsoever on Lorrie Nichols.
That's right. The concentration in Nikki's eyes. Very, very tough competitor. And there's that half pocket hit there. Look at that. Nikki gets the strike. This could be the toughest shot of Lorrie's career. You see, it's a good shot at the ball there. 5 hitting 7. Powerful shot.
It's amazing the way they make those pins dance.
Nikki taking a deep breath, taking her time. Very important shot. Came through it great.
Well, she got it inside the target line a little bit, and so 182, the best possible game that she could shoot with a spare here, and so Lorrie Nichols really in an excellent position to advance into the title game against Lisa Wagner.
Lorrie actually needs to stay out of trouble. She'll need pin count once again, not to do anything disastrous.
So 181, the final score. Lorrie Nichols in the position that every bowler would like to be in this type of a championship round. She needs just 2 pins, and I have a feeling she can probably take care of that.
No, she needs more than 2 pins, Danny, but that's enough right there with that 10.
Shrug of the shoulders, pressure off now, and she's starting to think about the championship game.
Well, she's got to be happy about that game, even if she does end up in 2nd place. That was a big game right there. Another great shot.
And there you see Nikki Gianulias, who will bow out with a 3rd place finish in Winston-Salem this week. Not too bad. She'll take $10,000 home. But the big one coming up, there's only 2 left, so stay tuned.
This Bryant air conditioner is out here in these mean conditions and corrosive salt air for just one reason. It's being tested to make sure your Bryant has the right stuff to last. Right now, Bryant dealers are offering the right stuff too.
For 2 months of free electricity, get a deluxe Bryant air conditioner by June 10th, 1988. Call Burke's Products at 374-5131 for details.
There are those who want the gas mileage and front-wheel drive performance of an economy car. And there are some who desire the people and cargo room of a van. And others wish to have the comforts of a motorhome. And then there are those who want it all. The Lasharo by Winnebago. For those who want it all.
Tom Schaefer's RV Superstore has all the new Winnebagos, Route 61.
Nice shot, Jeannie.
Nice shot, Walter Ray.
Jeannie Maiden and Walter Ray Williams are proud to introduce the Ebonite Gyro 1 Blue-Gray and the Lady Ebonite, 100% urethane, priced much less than most urethane balls. High performance at a great value.
You can't buy a better ball at a better price. Right, Walter Ray?
Right, Jeannie.
The Gyro 1 Blue-Gray and the Lady Ebonite. Pure power, strike after strike after strike.
The arid southwestern desert sets the scene for a heated rivalry. Highly ranked Arizona takes on Arizona State. College baseball, Monday at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN. Monday's a special night on ESPN. Bob Lee and Dick Vitale will preview the national championship game and review an upset-filled tournament, the NCAA Final Four Special. Next, the Southwest is ablaze when Arizona and Arizona State take the field for their heated rivalry. Then, play ball. It's the opening day for America's favorite pastime and the premiere of Major League Baseball magazine. Monday will be special on ESPN.
And we're back, and there's Mr. Mark Bazzini, who represents Seagram's Coolers. He is their product manager, marketing director, and he is on hand this week to give out a beautiful check. A very benevolent gentleman worth $40,000.
I wish I was the one going to be accepting it.
Sure,
however,
you could use that sterling silver tray, and the DPA, of course, a laminated bowling pin.
I received a laminated bowling pin.
It wasn't attempted, was it?
No.
Right after we're done here, coming up, live third-round coverage of the Kmart Greater Greensboro Open. And currently right now, Sandy Lyle with a one-shot lead over Jeff Seattle Sluman. And Lyle is at -16, Sluman at -15. So coming up, right after we're done here, exciting third-round coverage of the Kmart GGO. And that's just down the street. As a matter of fact, that's like a driver and a pitching wedge from Winston-Salem, if, of course, you hit them straight. Now, there you see Lisa Wagner, who is the top seed this week, and these are practice shots. Getting a chance to loosen up a little bit on the championship round pair, and she's a very confident player, and I think she's ready to win the U.S. Open here as we're just about ready to start the title match.
Danny, we've got two players up here that have met 4 times in a championship round for the title, and they have split 2-2. So I think that they're going for that grudge match here.
Lorrie Nichols has already won 2 matches this afternoon, and that's a bit of a break.
Yes, it is. Lane 31, once again, Lorrie going light.
Well, between these two great champions, oh my, 29 professional titles.
Denny, I know why Lorrie is not moving farther to the right. Lane 31 will also hook on you, and it is easier, however, to pick up those spares than it would be a 4-6 split.
Well, do you play defensively in a title match, or do you be real aggressive?
Well, you want to be aggressive, and I don't think Lorrie's playing defensively. I think she's just not making super shots on 31. They're just not getting up to the head pin.
This young lady here, many people feel, is the best woman professional bowler in the world. And for $40,000, she steps right up and strikes in the right-hand lane.
Can't say enough good things about Lisa and her game. She has just got such a super arm swing, great leverage. And she is, on an outside condition like this, she is devastating. We saw her win earlier this year in Fort Myers, Florida. She's having a good year so far.
Would like to make it career title number 17 and capture a U.S. Open. She's the only holdover from the top 5 of last year's Seagram's Coolers US Open. She finished third. Oh, my, that 5-pin just danced into the 7 and exploding the rack on lane 31. Lorrie Nichols shakes her head a little bit, and I think she realizes Lisa Wagner averaged better than 250 on this pair during the week. She's going to have to get out of the gate in a hurry.
Yes, she is. With Lisa's speed, she can move even farther to the right and get the ball back without getting in trouble. Where Lorrie moved a little farther to the right, not quite enough speed. It would probably hook too much on her. That was a great shot on lane 32. She needs to make an adjustment on 31 because Lisa is lined up.
Well, I think one of the keys that now you can watch the players elevate their game now. We've been through 59 games of this tournament that they've bowled, and they're getting into the title match, and this is when the adrenaline takes over, and it's time to go to a new level because you're going to have to win.
Also, when your opponent is bowling better, you get pumped up more, and you have a tendency to bowl better. And she finally hit lane 31. Having that 6-pin just tap the 10.
Lisa's been an excellent player in the championship round. Overall, a career record of 46 wins, 28 losses, and 1 tie. And she's 3-0 in 1988. She just blistered them in Fort Myers.
Yes, she did. She went through a field of left-handers, as you recall, Denny. Getting the ball out farther to the right that time. Not getting it back.
You and I discussed the very possibility of a couple of 2-8-10s out there today. We nearly saw one there, and that's virtually an unmakeable split.
Yes, it is. It's not an easy split to pick up.
Unless you want to shoot it left-handed.
This is not an easy spare to pick up either, with that 8-pin sitting right behind that 2-pin. She wants to go very hard and straight at it, which is not very difficult for Lisa to do since she does throw the ball very hard and at a straight line.
And there's her husband watching nervously. Kent Wagner, an outstanding player on the PBA Tour. And we were joking with Kent earlier today when he won in Las Vegas last year, and he was being interviewed and given that big first-place check. They asked him what he would buy with it. He said, I think I'm going to buy a sports car. Well, I got a big round of applause and a laugh, and I asked Lisa this morning, what are you going to do if you win? And she said, well, I've got a couple of different cars in mind, so we'll have to wait and see.
Well, Kent's into race car driving now anyway, so that's a new hobby of theirs.
Oh, she gets the shaker on the left-hand lane, and it's a big strike for Lisa Wagner in the 4th.
I tell you, the thing with Lorrie, going through Lorrie's mind now, is going to be the fact that Lisa didn't carry this shot here. Or did carry this shot, but she didn't carry the one in the 3rd, so she's not going to shoot 300 at her. She still has room.
Try and take the lead, and she dances on the approach and leaves the solid 10. Boy, look at the despair on her face, and she's talking to that 10-pin right now.
That was a superb shot, Benny.
You know, it's amazing how much the pros talk to those pins, and for some reason or other, Leila, they just never seem to listen.
I don't think they're talking to the pin as much as they're talking to themselves, though. It's more like, nice shot, settle down. It's okay, you know, pick it up, stay clean.
Right.
These are things that go through your head, or Lorrie, gee.
Well, Lorrie's saving the wood, but let's take a look at the first shot there. Wow.
Just driving so hard. The ball finishing, and the 6-pin just throwing right around the 10, and Lorrie not happy with her result.
And normally, she's a pretty subdued figure on the lanes, but for $40,000 in first-place prize money, she's pumped up here. Just what you'd like to see in a title match. Nice and close and tight. Oh, good shot on the left-hand lane.
Well, that 10-pin really hurt her there. She could have taken a great lead over Lisa. However, the game is so close.
Lisa making a little adjustment tape-wise in that thumb hole. The size of the thumb seems to change back and forth for some players more often than not, and so you have to be ready to apply some tape or to take some out.
That's right, Denny. Under the lights, your hands tend to swell. You want to take the tape out. In this case, Lisa's went down. She added tape. Looking like she fell off balance a little bit at the line. However, her direction was great.
This one almost looked like the frozen rope because the speed was increased, and she's not given the ball an opportunity to go anywhere but the pocket, and that may be one of her greatest assets, her ability to just throw it right through the condition.
That's right. Lisa doesn't get into trouble too often. Unless there's quite a bit of oil, then her speed will hurt her.
The reason why Lisa's holding up right now, lane 32 after the strike, must have been dazed a bit because it forgot to set a few pins up. There we go.
That's hitting him real hard.
That's it. Knocking him into submission. Looking for the turkey here in the 6th. And to take a 19-pin lead.
Oh. That was a super shot. A replay of what we saw Lorrie do on lane 32.
I know Lisa's thinking about other things, but she wanted us to pass along a good luck wish to NASCAR driver Phil Parsons and, of course, his whole team in 1988. You have already mentioned that Kent is becoming actively involved in the racing industry, and I know Lisa's a big fan as well, so I'm going to pass along those concerns.
Kent usually doesn't show a lot of emotion, however. You can see the anxiety he's feeling right now. Lorrie, very serious. A good shot here, wanting to carry the 10. Almost getting the break. Is it going to fall? Oh, spun it around a time or two, but not getting the break.
Well, the 10-pin with a 360 pirouette, but it does not fall, and that could have helped the cause.
Well, the ball hitting a little bit flatter here, Denny. Setting the 6-pin just in the channel, however. Off came the head pin off that wall and just rotated.
Well, the 10-pin with an about face, but it doesn't fall, and this time the conversion a little better than the last trip. An 8-pin lead for Lisa Wagner, and it's nail-biting time here in Winston-Salem. Don't forget, coming up live and direct as we complete here, the Kmart Greater Greensboro Open on ESPN, live and direct. Forest Oaks Country Club. 3rd round coverage. Oh, a bad shot and a good break, and sometimes that's the difference in winning championships.
Yes, it is. You find that player that gets that break, and that could be your winner of your tournament right here. She crosses over, making that adjustment on 31, and she gets the break, and she doesn't care. It looks the same.
The reaction's always the same when they strike. Lisa Wagner now in the 7th.
Lisa wanting this strike here to keep the pressure on Lorrie. A super shot, ripping the 5 into the 7. The power that's in her bowling ball.
And earlier this year, Lisa Wagner signing to become a member of the Brunswick advisory staff. Brunswick adding Lisa Wagner. On the men's side, of course, John Petraglia, Mark Roth. You've got some great champions.
Not to mention Judy Sutar.
That's right.
Also on the women's staff.
Who qualified and finished 22nd this week.
Good look at Lisa's arm swing there. So strong. Good knee bend. A super shot there.
Oh, I'm telling you, that's about as sweet as it can get under the pressure of $40,000. A big double in the 7th and the 8th, and now the momentum. Let's see if it swings back to Lorrie Nichols.
Denny, Lorrie has to have this strike here. Not getting out of it real good.
Well, you heard her say, come on, and I think you're right, a little hang up that time in the thumb.
She didn't clear the thumb quick enough to get enough rotation from the fingers. 6-pin lays in the channel. As you can see here, she doesn't clear the ball. Ball out on the lane even farther than normal. However, she converts there.
She's operating right now at a 209 pace, but room to shoot 229 if she takes it off the sheet.
If she shoots 229, she would at least get the next strike. So, once again, Lorrie needs this strike.
But the key, as far as Lisa Wagner is concerned, is the fact that she's on a double, and she'll get to finish the match first. Could close her out.
She could.
Well, the 9th frame is the foundation frame, and Lorrie Nichols has given herself an opportunity to shoot the 229. Now she'll have to sit back, wait, and hope that Lisa Wagner doesn't just take this one right on down the road.
That That's right. This is a really big shot for Lisa right here. She carries this strike. And she stays clean in the 10th frame. She wins this tournament. It's down to a $20,000 ball. Just about. Not getting through the ball as good as she normally does. Feeling that pressure just a little bit, I think. We have, once again, it's still a close match.
17 pins the difference.
She can still close Lorrie Nichols out, Denny, if she strikes out in the 10th frame, which she will have a chance to do.
First things first, the 7 pin, which she does.
Lorrie's only prayer now is that Lisa doesn't get 3 strikes or doesn't get 2 strikes.
Well, she needs a double and count to close her out. Her best possible score would be 236, and believe me, Lisa's very well aware of that as she scans the scoreboard.
She's checking, making sure she knows.
Glanced over to Fran Wolf, the LPBT's National Tournament Director, to get the numbers correctly.
There's too much at stake. Sitting on the bench, just going, give me a chance. Just give me a chance. I can't even watch.
Well, I'm sure he's probably saying a few prayers at this point. Tremendous pressure involved, and boy, is that ball going to get heavy on this shot.
Denny.
Oh my, look at Kent. Lisa turns around with a smile and thinks, oh, this one's not over yet. So 226 if she spares. Lorrie Nichols has room.
It looked good. I thought she was going to get it. However, she must not have gotten her fingers in the ball as she has been. And the 5 didn't go, and that 7 stood. And Lorrie got the chance she wanted, Denny.
That's all it comes down to. When you finish it up, if you got a chance in the 10th to control your own destiny, that's all you could ever ask for. So it's take it one at a time. First shot in the 10th.
A little stronger this time, and she carried the 10.
Well, look at Terry. Look at his lips over there. He's starting to get a little nervous. Oh, my. Lisa Wagner lamenting right now, thinking, geez, if I could have just carried that 7. Well, there go the fingernails.
Lorrie not taking much time at all. Just hurries right on up to the approach.
And that'll do it. 4-pin stands, and look at Lisa Wagner. The reaction, the relief, and the disappointment. We'll be back with the champion right after this, and it'll be Lisa Wagner here in Winston-Salem. How would you like 7 of bowling's greatest pros to show you how to improve your average? Now available, How to Bowl Your Best Game, produced in association with the American Bowling Congress, featuring world-class instruction from 7 of the greatest bowlers ever assembled. Featuring ABC Hall of Famer Earl Anthony as the host, along with Mike Albee, Jeannie Maiden, Virginia Norton, George Pappas, Lisa Wagner, and the great one, Dick Weber. You'll get instruction in all phases of bowling, including equipment, grip, stance, step patterns, delivery, targeting and strikes and spares, adjustments, and also the mental game. Plus, you'll also get this special bonus section featuring Pro Talk with candid conversations by the pros and legends with rare footage from the Bowling Hall of Fame. Order now this important video and let the pros improve your average. Call 1-800-333-3000. And
we're back, everybody, live and direct from Winston-Salem, and chaos at this point. But, Mark, I know you've got a tremendous check along with a jacket and everything else here for Lisa Wagner.
Lisa, congratulations. A great match. We'd like to present you this check for $40,000.
So much for sponsoring our U.S. Opens. They don't know how much it means to us. And also the BPA for being involved. And thank you, crowd, very much. Also, I'd like to wish Phil Parsons and his team, NASCAR driver, good luck in '88. I told him I wish him good luck.
Sonny, a quick note from you, president of the BPA, with a beautiful sterling silver tray.
Thank you, Denny. On behalf of the 4,000 members worldwide, Lisa, congratulations, champ.
Well, that's going to do it here from Winston-Salem. Thanks so much. And we've just finished up the finals of the $20,000, make that $200,000 Seagram's Coolers U.S. Open. The Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour on ESPN has been brought to you by Seagram's Coolers. This is where the fun starts. And by True Value Hardware. It's more than our name, it's our way of doing business. And this has been a presentation of ESPN Sports.